Mommies, welcome back to Wisdom Wednesday. I have my friend Samantha here. She is like my favorite mom. She's a mom of 3. Oh, well, you tell them about yourself.
Yes, I am a mom of 3. I've been married for 9 years. My kids are 8, 4, and 2. They drive me up at the wall. I am a working mom. I've always been one. So I'm always here to share the love and share information about being a mom and all of the trials and joys that come with it.
Thank you for that. And today's topic actually is working mom guilt versus stay-at-home mom guilt. And I have been both a working mom and a stay-at-home mom for each of my kids. So we both have a lot of experience in both realms and are excited to talk to you guys about it. So first, I would say let's start off with working mom guilt. Like, as a mom, how do you feel? Then I'll chime in.
As a mom that's always working, I've always worked for all of my kids. I actually went back to work with my first child after like 5 weeks, and that was probably the worst. I feel guilty because I missed like the little things, because kids grow up really fast. So when you see that they're doing something, like, well, when did they start doing that? Was it while I was at work? So you automatically feel like it's because you were at work that you missed it. But it's just, you don't get a chance to see every single little step, and you don't get a chance to like savor the moments and always like are always there. You don't get a chance to make sure that they're saying everything right. You don't get a chance to make sure they're always getting influenced by the right people.
Right.
That's a huge one. Like, my son's 8 now, and I'm just like, well, when did you start saying y'all and was and cuz? Like, sir, like, chill out.
And I know America definitely is like the worst country to live in when it comes to that. Like, Canada, I think you get like 20 months or something like that of maternity leave. I went back with my son in 6 weeks, and I didn't know anybody. I didn't know any daycares. I was the only one of my friends at the time that had a kid. And so,
still, except for you.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like the only one
especially in Jacksonville. Yeah. I have a few mommy friends, but you were like my first for real mom friend. And I just remember when I was like, after I had him, I couldn't enjoy the full 6 weeks off because I had to prep and prepare for work. I had to find out what daycare to take him to. I had to pump because I was breastfeeding and store milk and all of that. So I feel like I rushed the newborn process a little bit because I had to go back to work. And so it made me resentful at my job in a sense. You think so?
I think I can see that. So at first I thought I wasn't going to go back to work for a while. I was in college at the time when I had my son. So I was like, well, I don't have to go back to work for a long time. And then I was like, oh shoot, you don't have no money. So
that hit you quick.
Yeah, because I wasn't working a full-time job. I was working a part-time job, and I was a student full-time. So it was summertime, so I got to take the summer off of school. But for work-wise, I was still used to making a certain amount of money. We kind of needed it. So I was like, oh shoot, we need money. And so I did have to just say, okay, I gotta go back. So one night, my first night back at work, I'm gonna tell you guys a story. First night back at work, I'm like, okay, honey, I'm gonna go to work for, I think it was like 5 hours at the time. So here's the bottle, he should take the bottle. My son would not take that bottle. He would not take the bottle. He went 4 hours without eating, and for a 5-week-old, that's a long time. So my husband was like, we got to do something. So he was breastfeeding and bottle feeding. So he literally bought my son to work, and I worked at a retail store. I worked at a retail store, so I had to breastfeed my son in the fitting room because he would not take the bottle. He would not, and I was like, child, you are stubborn.
Things the moms have to
Things we have to do. I was like, I'm gonna take my break, but I'm gonna be in the fitting room fitting my son. He's not eating. I don't know what to do. I was so distraught.
But I feel like you could be prepared to go back to work if work was like conducive to you being a new mom too. So like if you had like a nursing room or a pumping room or something like that, it'd be easier to go back because you would feel supported as a whole. I work with all men when I went back to work, and so like up until when I was pregnant, like if I would do anything or make any like noise, they'd be like, are you about to have a baby? And I was like, no, just chill, like calm down. So when I came back to work, everybody was like, are you okay? Do you miss the baby? I'm like, yeah, but I'm just like y'all, you know, I can maintain my workload. And I realized that I had to pump, and I had Freemie cups, which they have changed pumping stuff now. So
they have. I'm kind of salty. I'm really salty.
Yeah, like I feel like we didn't even have kids that long ago, but they have changed so much in the last 2-3 years.
Now, yeah, I had to use a manual pump when I had my first child. The second child, I had like a good Medela pump, but I didn't have the Freemie cups. They weren't easily accessible.
Yeah,
I heard about them, but they weren't easy to buy at that time.
And so for those who don't know what a Freemie cup is, they're hands free, so you can insert them in your bra and they'll pump while you're still working. So I closed my door and I had printed out like a picture of a cow.
I had the cow too.
Okay.
And I had the cow from pumping room. Yeah.
I just put "not please," and I had it on my door, and I just having that quiet time. I kind of like took advantage of having my door closed. And so after I finished pumping or whatever, I put it in the milk or blah blah blah. And I remember like my boss and my other male coworker, my supervisor, they were both standing like in the hallway, and when I opened the door, they was like, "Oh my God, we couldn't wait for you to finish. We didn't want to interrupt, but we had to ask you this, and this, and that." And I'm just like,
"Y'all still work, sir?"
Right. Or you could have called me like on the, extension or something. They were being so extra. So whenever they would see the cow up on the door, they will always be lying. They'd be like, "Oh, nope, not going in there, not interrupting that." So I started taking advantage of keeping the cow up there, like more than I probably should have. But
listen, that cow kind of helped. Like, you're right. Like, I used to, my first child, I was in a part-time role. My second and my third child, I was in a better role, and I had like an office and everything like that. So I was a little bit more supported. I had a pumping room. I created one. Like, I put little artwork on there, and I had my little table. We had a fridge in the office, so it kind of was comfortable in order to pump. But it was still the same way. So when I had Selena, I feel like the reason why I didn't breastfeed for so long is because I was in a different store at that time, and it was much busier. My workload was higher, and every single time they saw that cow, they got irritated. So it wasn't that they were supportive or they got irritated. Like, "Oh my gosh, you have to go again?" Yes, I have to go again. Right. So it just became a little bit more difficult. And then it was like holiday season, and I was just like, "Oh yeah, for retail, I said it's okay." I said, "Here, you're gonna have to get this formula, and we just gonna have to make it do what it do." It was my third child, so I was like, "Okay, third child, I'm sorry." You did your due diligence. All right, I did. I said I tried, third child. You gonna get the You guys seen the Loves commercial? You gonna get the Loves commercial.
Yeah, what else like about going back to work? It's also just like you get the pro is you get to experience like adult interaction. You don't realize how much you need that when you're just confined to being at home with the newborn. Like, other than your partner, or if your parent comes into town, or family that comes in and out to visit, you really do need that adult interaction. But then like the con is you're around all these adults, and if you're like, we were the first to have small kids at your job, you can't really like say like, "Oh, I look sad because I miss my child." Or if I'm in a board meeting and my nipples are tingling, I can't be like, "Oh, I'm leaking, let me go," like pump or something. So that's tough.
Oh, that's happened. Yeah, I mean, that's what, if you feel singled out at work sometimes, if you're the only one with a young child. Yeah. Sometimes, like, most of the time I'm around people who have children, but they're usually way older, or like just not in the same time zone as I am. So sometimes you do feel singled out, but I always support working moms because I say you do need the adult interaction, and it kind of gives you like a self-purpose to me. To me, if I'm kind of gonna say, in my generation, millennials, our generation, millennials, we kind of identify with our work. We identify with the philanthropy that we do. Whatever we do, we identify with it. And being a mom is great, and you can identify with it, but sometimes you need more than that, and you urge for more than that. So that's why I always say I'm pro working mom. So even if I win the lottery, I'm gonna work somewhere. I'm gonna work somewhere.
I think I'm pro kids go to daycare.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what kind of mom that is.
Yes. Well, there you go. You're right. I'm pro kids go to daycare because, baby, I love daycare.
Because my husband, he said,
I love
and
daycare.
If you hear our kids upstairs,
that's why
four of them up there. Yes,
they need to go to daycare.
When I had my daughter, so when we moved to Jacksonville, I had my daughter a week after we moved here. And and I had a 2-year-old. So I had to enroll him into a daycare, not knowing anybody really in the city, but Samantha referred like a great daycare, so that was perfect. And then I stayed at home with my daughter for 8 months, so that's my stay-at-home period. And I remember my husband's, I think his boss or something was like, "Oh, how does your wife like being a stay-at-home mom?" And he was like, if she heard what you just said, she would correct you. She would say she's a stay-at-home wife. And I was like, "You're right. I'm a stay-at-home wife."
Correct. I am yes.
But staying at home with my daughter, I felt like you said, like with Prince and So, you missed out on those small moments. Like with my son, I felt like I missed out on his first words when he first crawled. And even though the daycare provider like would send me videos and pictures and would call me at work, like after at first I had a bad experience, and he didn't stay at that daycare but 3 days, and he had got like a horrible blister diaper rash. I was like, no. So I did an in-home daycare, and she ended up becoming like extended family. Like I feel like she's my grandma to this day. And she would send me stuff, but it sounds weird, but I would feel like he didn't know my son didn't know I was his mom, because I felt like he was with someone else so much more than me.
8 to 10 hours a day.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they had like a bond and closeness that I love, because it showed me that he could trust her and that she was trustworthy. But then it also made me like, it tugged at my heart like, damn, like I don't have that same connection, because I'm only with my child 4 hours out of a day. Like I see him for an hour when I wake up, and then we drop him off, and then I have him at home for 3 hours before he goes to sleep, and then that's it. And so when I had my daughter, I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I want to be at every single waking moment. And I was at every single waking moment, and it was just totally different. I thought in my head, I was like, it was going to be one of those things, like I had all this energy staying at home and, you know, like being with the baby. And then when my toddler would come home, I even thought I would pick him up early from daycare. And then he would come home, and I would like do work with him, or, you know, teach him how to do this and that. And I would play with my kids. And my daughter is high maintenance.
She wore you out.
She wore me out. I mean, that was a hollering baby, boy. To this day, she still holler. But I mean, being at home, not, you know, they can't walk around. So literally, you have to hold them and take them wherever you go. I learned how to do dishes with one hand. I learned how to cook with one hand. I had to learn how to do laundry with one hand, because I could not put her down for nothing. I even used to have to pee with her. Holding
on her lap. Yep, I've done that several times. It's just like, I appreciate daycare. I came to the appreciation of daycare very early on. Even after like maternity leave, I was like, oh, daycare, yes. But like Chelsea said, after you find somebody who's trustworthy, you have a feeling. I think I had like maybe 2 bad daycare experiences within all my 3 kids, which is, I'm blessed, because that doesn't happen, because some people go through several bad daycare experiences before they find a good one, or they just say, forget it, I'm just going to stay home. So they have to change their whole family structure in order to stay home with the child, because they can't find anybody they trust. And then of course you hear all these horror stories on the news, and people throwing kids, put them in closets, all types of stuff. So you really just have to like pray over your children, pray over the situation, be like, God, what do you want us to do? And even if staying home is an option for you, sometimes it's just not the best of your sanity. You can't do it. And I'm one of those people. I can't do it.
And budget too. Like there's a pro to staying at home, because you don't have to pay for daycare. Like if you don't get a voucher easily for 2 kids daycare, at least in this city, is like $1,200, and I think that's more so on the lower side.
Yeah, that's the lower side actually. That is the lower side, because that's how much I paid last year for 2 kids. So I had a toddler and a baby at that point. Okay. So yeah, that's a lower side, because my daycare is affordable. It's not the expensive ones. It's not the cheap ones.
And I think my daycare is more expensive. So it probably depends on like what area, and the ages too, because I think Callie and Arian, it was like $1,300 when she started, and she was like 9 months when she started daycare, and if you could save that, so for those 9 months before she went to daycare and I was a stay-at-home mom.
Is it time to go to a haircut?
Daddy upstairs, why you didn't ask him? Kids will beeline their daddy to ask you stuff.
Anything. Mommy, can I go to the bathroom? Is in the bathroom next to you? Mommy, can I get some water?
Yeah. Their daddy is upstairs. Like,
that's kids.
That's husbands.
Well, they see them. I mean, he didn't say don't ask me. That's just the kids. They decided to do that.
Back to what I was saying.
Yeah.
For 9 months, it was cool not having to pay that amount, just paying for one kid in daycare. And I was like, okay, cool. Now I know y'all gonna look at me crazy, like, why would she put one in daycare and not keep both home? Because I had a toddler, that's why, and a newborn. That was a lot.
A 2-year-old boy. Oh,
and he was off the chain. If y'all seen my How to Raise a Strong-Willed Kid, you would know, like, my son was about it. And so I needed him to go to daycare to get a little bit of that energy out so that I could focus on, you know, the new baby and, you know, us creating that bond. And me, really, it was also for my sanity moving into a whole new city because, like I said, I had her a week after we moved here. So I had to figure out what role did I want to play, like what career path do I want to go back into work. Like I had to really do some soul searching. So saving money for those first 9 months, we were good. Like we didn't feel it much. But boy, when she went to daycare, I was like, why is it so expensive?
Where is all my money?
I was just like, I think I should be a stripper. Like I was asking him, I was like, I need to be a sugar baby or something.
I looked up online jobs. I looked up side jobs, knowing well and good I work a salary job. Like I don't have a set schedule, so like I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this, but I gotta find more money. The biggest thing when I found out I was pregnant with my 3rd child, I was just like, Lord, we don't have no money.
Right?
How?
Where we gonna get this from?
How am I gonna pay for daycare? How am I gonna pay for daycare? When I tell you that was like my biggest thing, I stayed pregnant and quiet for so long, just because Ask Claudine. I was like, literally, I knew I was pregnant in January. Nobody knew I was pregnant until March. And mind you, at that point, I was like 4 or 5 months because I was just like, it was just very stressful. Even my husband, I didn't tell him. He knew, but we didn't verbally tell. I didn't verbally tell him I was pregnant because he knew I couldn't even handle it. I could not handle it because I'm like, where are we gonna get this money from? So money is a huge factor when you're trying to think about whether you stay at home versus working, and then whether you send them to daycare or not. Because even if you are working, that doesn't necessarily mean that you'll still have the income to pay for daycare. Because it's still expensive.
And like Art was like, should I get a second job? And I was like, no, because
so
that
worked a second job for a while. He had to.
See, I'm the selfish wife.
See,
I was like, no, because then you're not gonna be home enough. And he was just like, you want money or you want support?
I say that, but I was willing. I took the L because listen, we needed that whatever extra couple $100 because he was just working at another school. So I was just like, it's a couple extra $100. We need it because.
He was like, babe, I could just do the night shift. I was like, no, because I'm home all day by myself, and then when you come home, you gotta go somewhere. He was just like, oh my God. I was like, no, because I would drive these kids to your job.
Right?
Don't play with me.
They driving me crazy.
And I also, for some moms, it depends on the type of woman you are.
True.
So some women are career oriented before they even have children. So to them, staying at home is like trap confinement. They don't understand how a person can do it. Versus other women are like, all I wanted was to be a mom and have children, you know, or cater to my family. Like one of the guilt things that I would get as a stay-at-home mom was keeping the house clean.
Oh my gosh.
Now, we are both from the island. Let me tell you how my mama and auntie came over here and snatched my edges off. My father-in-law, it was like so much happened the first year we moved here, but my father-in-law moved in with us. And so I don't know, Callie, I'm trying to think if she was if she was still at home or was she at daycare? She might have been at daycare.
I think she was at daycare at that point.
Okay.
If I'm trying to think, I think she was at daycare.
I think she was at daycare, and I just know that like juggling having a baby and a toddler, like it ain't no point in cleaning up because they always dirty the house, right? And so
you're gonna mess it up. So like, why?
My mom and aunt decided to stop off in Jacksonville, and they didn't forewarn me.
Oh,
they told me they were coming to Crestview, and Jacksonville was the midpoint, so we could meet up. That's what they said. And I did not have my house in order, let me tell you, because I just did it.
It just doesn't happen sometimes. Okay?
My father-in-law, he was here, and I wasn't here when they got here. I don't know what I was doing.
So you didn't even get to like
I
do
didn't
a general
nope.
Tuck it in the cabinets, close the room doors.
Nothing. He was like, he told me after they left, he was like, yo, mama and auntie went in on this house. I was like, oh, okay. He was like, but you know, I know that, you know, you're a stay-at-home mom or like, you know, you're still figuring it out and stuff. And he was trying to give me benefit of the doubt. I was like, no, they're from the islands. Like that.
They have expectancy for your house to be like,
you don't have a job, your house better be spick and span. And so like that kind of triggered me to always feel like if I'm home, I have to clean up, I have to do this, I have to do that. And then it was almost like the house would be spick and span, and then as soon as they all came home, it was a tornado again.
Exactly.
And then if you still have a baby while you're trying, you can't clean and do all of that stuff. That's nearly impossible, if possible. Because like I said, I had a high needs baby and she was crying and all this stuff. I couldn't put her down to, you can't vacuum and hold a baby.
You can't. It just becomes strenuous at that point. Like I still struggle with this. It's still a real life struggle with 3 kids, a husband, working. My house, I've gotten to the point where I say if my house is somewhat in order, like the general spaces, like my kitchen, of course, the living room, and then the bathrooms don't have stuff all over them. If those spaces are clean, I feel okay. Right. But like Chelsea says, my mom is Haitian. If she walks in, or if I'm FaceTiming her and she might see a mess, she's like, so when is that gonna get cleaned up?
Mom, you're not even, I'm talking to you. She all the way in the back.
So she's like, oh, so did you guys do the laundry? Laundry is a whole nother thing.
Oh,
but my God.
Upstairs right now, I have 7 loads of laundry. And I just be like, how do these humans have so many darn clothes? Like, it's crazy that they have so many clothes. But it's not even that they have so many, it's that they get them dirty so quickly.
So, right?
What is wrong with them?
Yo, I can wear a pair of pants, and I can wear it 2 times or 3 times before it actually even gets anything on it.
My daughter,
for it to look dirty.
She can't even wear a pair of pants out the house for 5 minutes.
You see how my kids walk in your house, like, they just... It just gets too much.
You hear the choir, mommy,
they're coming, they're coming.
So another pro to being a stay-at-home mom, you're the master of your home. You're in charge of like picking the kids up. You have a schedule. It provides, I think being a stay-at-home mom provides the most stability for the child.
Correct.
Because you never have to miss, you know, any engagements, any activities that they'll be a part of. You're always there.
Correct.
I don't think that kids truly can appreciate how engaged or how there for them their parents are until
they see something different.
Yeah.
Until they see something different. So, I grew up in a household where my mother worked. So I only knew that she worked, and it wasn't until I got older I started having my own kids that she was like, "Oh my gosh, I wish I was there for you guys when you guys were younger." And I'm like, "You weren't there? Okay, if you say so." But you don't realize that they had you. That was your lifestyle until you get older and you see something different and you learn to be different.
That's true. My mom worked 2 jobs when she had me, and we were like the last generation of that time where everybody dropped their kids off at grandma's house, and then grandma just raised or, you know, watch all the kids. Even we all got bused to my grandma's house, like me and all my cousins, no matter where we went to school. And so I grew up with calling my grandma mama and my granddaddy daddy, because that's what I heard my mom call them. And then my aunt one of my aunts, she picked me up from school, and she really raised me until I got to middle school, because then I could stay home by myself and stuff like that. I was a little bit more mature. But throughout my daycare elementary life, my aunt was like my mom. And I remember feeling like a bit of resentment. I was like, when I have my kids, like, I'm not working no whole bunch of jobs. My kids come first, and this and that. And now, like you said, you appreciate it now, because now I look at my mom and I'm like, wow, how you were able to maintain 2 jobs as a single mom is crazy to me. It obviously it was not without her village. Yeah. But that you heard me, I get selfish just thinking about my husband having a second job. Like, I'm like, what? So I appreciate the sacrifice that she made now that I'm a mother. And I feel like as a stay-at-home mom, your kids may not, at that age when they're young, they may not realize, like, my mom is doing this for me, or to provide stability in my life, or even the moms who do homeschooling. Like,
that's like a huge commitment. Like, yes. When I meet moms, so I work in a retail space, so like I meet moms, I'm like, wait, ain't your kids supposed to be at school? They're like, oh no, we homeschool. I'm like, oh, how nice. But I'm like in awe of them. I get a little bit jealous. I'm like, dang, I wish I could spend that much time with my children, but and like it. Yeah, that's the thing. I can spend that time with my children, but I don't necessarily like it. Right. So it's like I'm like, dang, I wish I could tolerate them like that. I wish I could have that bit of more patience to be with them for so long and all the hours of the day, and but
not get irritated.
Yeah, like I pray for patience all the time, even though I love my kids, but Jesus, patience.
But that's just like the different type of women.
Yeah. You know, we're not all the same.
Right. So some people have like religious beliefs as to why they want to be stay-at-home moms and raise their kids.
One of the things that I think about is like some people are really into like the whole saying that the man brings home the bread and the bacon, and then the woman just takes care of the home, and that's her role.
Barefoot and pregnant.
Oh no,
that's what you never heard that.
I have heard that, but I just feel like no.
That's what I hear men like. What do you call it? White collar, blue collar
workers.
Blue collar workers. Barefoot. I hear them say that all the time. Like, yep, keep a barefoot and pregnant. I'm like,
that is not okay, because I feel like that's taking away some of her power. But
she might like that though.
Some women might like that. But you are still powerful. You still run your household, and you still run an entire business, because your household is a business. Yes. That's huge. So, but yeah, if that's your beliefs and your morals that the men should only work and the women should places inside the house, nothing against that. Like, okay, I get it, but you still have a lot of work to do. It's still a lot of work.
It is. What else? I will also say sometimes there's a disconnect between working and stay-at-home moms. Like, I think that like
they guilt each other.
Yes, and it's so much like mom shaming. Yeah. Like I hear working moms they would tell me as a stay-at-home mom, oh, girl, you better than me, and this and that. And I was like, okay, it's not for everybody, but then sometimes there's a little condescendingness in it. It's like they look down on you because you're staying at home, and it's like, if I wanted to, I could go out there and get a job and stuff, but these moments are more precious. I think it's more so just about what people's priorities are.
Yeah, at the time.
So,
because it's not always going to be like that. Right. Or if you choose for it to be, it's okay too. But like, it's what your priority is at the time. If your priority is your children at the time, go ahead. If you can, try to stay home, stay home. Sometimes it's not affordable. Like we said earlier, sometimes you're forced into it based on you having a couple of kids at a certain age group. So if you had 5 under 5 or 4 under 4 or something like that, listen.
Or like military moms, that is so tough. Constantly moving, you can't establish like that village or just friendships like that. So it's easier to stay at home, especially if your husband is constantly having to be deployed. That's a lot on you. So it's like you want to be the consistency for the kids. So you decide, let me sacrifice and stay at home. I see like growing up, my cousin, she was a stay-at-home mom, and she was in the military, and that was so foreign to me. Yeah. And I was just like, why would you do it? But I get it. She was like, they don't get to see their dad. I don't need them not to see their mom all the time either. And I was like, okay, I get that.
It makes total sense. It makes total sense. It's just, I don't like when other people, like you said, mom shame each other, because it's not fair.
Yeah.
Each of us, we're all moms. The baby still came out of us.
Or one big thing, just because even if you work from home or are a stay-at-home mom, one thing I always hear women say is like, oh, you must have like a great schedule, or people will ask you to do stuff because they think you're not working.
Yeah, because they think you're free. I'm not free.
I'm not free for you. Like,
true, right? Like,
I'm not gonna be taking you to doctor's appointments. What you mean? Like, no, you still have a routine even if you're a stay-at-home mom. There's a certain time I will wake up, get the kids ready, I will take my son to daycare, and I will come home, nurse my daughter. I start off with dishes.
Yes, Selena. Yes, Selena. No, I can't get the bottle. You'll get it later, okay? Okay. Bye.
That's all she wanted.
Oh, can you get this bottle?
I had time to do dishes, and then I knew I had to nurse her again. Then I had a time where I had to do X, Y, and Z. So like by 12 o'clock, I had like all of my priority stuff done. And then after 12, it's like time just flies. It's like 12 o'clock, 5 o'clock when they get off from work. I'm like, what? How? I didn't even get no nap or nothing. So you still have a routine, which is good, but the bad thing is, as a stay-at-home mom, if something like comes out of that routine, or somebody throws a curveball or something like that, it just throws the whole routine off.
Exactly. I feel like a lot of stay-at-home moms are very dependent on that routine, and then if you're not within that routine, it kind of creates anxiety if you can't stay with that. So like, I've had customers, it's like 11:30 and they're shopping, they're rushing. I'm like, what you rushing for? It's her nap time. It's just,
yes.
I'm just like, sis, calm down. I know it's her nap time. As soon as you get in the car, the baby's gonna knock out and you're gonna be back into like a good zen, okay?
No, but then you gotta get them out the car.
Sleeping. I get it. You gotta get them out the car, sleeping, and you just
struggling
and huffing and puffing, and you're tired. So I get it. But routine is must. I feel like routine kind of makes you more successful. If you're like me, I fail at routines all the time. Like I really, really try, but I'm just not good at it. I'm not. I'm just like, oh, what will today bring? Today brings this. Let's do it.
Also, I think too, like with your resume. So ironically enough, before I moved to Jacksonville, I was a business consultant for 4 years. And I had like a side business where I would revise people's resumes.
She had a bomb side business.
And I had stopped it. I stopped it.
Just saying.
But I could revise a resume. And one thing I would always tell clients was, you need to make sure that you don't have too many like gaps in between your employment, because people will look at that, or an employer will look at that and say like, why? And now that I am going back into the work field, there is always that you are a stay-at-home mom. Oh, okay. Like it's almost like that's not a job, and it's like it's a whole job.
It's a whole job, and it takes the right company to realize that.
Yes,
it does take the right company to realize that. So I'm always hiring, and whenever I'm doing interviews and I see the gap in the resume, I say, "Well, why?" And I say, "Well, I was a stay-at-home mom for this," and I'm like, "Well, why are you coming back?" She's like, "I need adult time," and as soon as I say that, like because I know the whole mommyhood thing, like I'm like, sis, I'm here for you. Okay, but what are you good at? That's another thing. Like when you take a break from the workplace, you try to figure out like what you're still good at, what you're proficient at, and what you can offer a workplace, and that's huge too. So I had an associate who I interviewed this past holiday season, and she was like, well, I'm really good at organizing, like keeping things on track. And I was like, well, you're hired because that's what we need. We need somebody who's like on task, knows what they can do, like knows their strengths, and who can still provide like a good environment for us.
That's a big thing, like translating those skills as a stay-at-home mom if you decide to go back to work, because you're not going to be a stay-at-home mom forever. Even if you homeschool your kids to 18, you still are not, you're not a stay-at-home mom at that point, unless you don't be a stay-at-home wife or something, like I said. But
you can be kept at that point.
It's like you said, like organizing and stuff like that. Like for me, staying at home really was like a lot of soul searching. I didn't know what I wanted to do when I knew my daughter was going to start daycare or school or whatever. I just was like, what am I good at? Because now I've had this time to decompress. I have no work stress. I have no deadlines. I have no micromanaging boss or gossip coworkers. Now I get to just be a family woman. And it's like, now what is like, it's a whole new purpose at life. And it's like, what do I want to do? And I remember that I actually applied for a job and I have made it really far. I did the shadowing and everything. And the last step was to interview with the team lead that I would be under. I had gotten a green light, like I had gotten a job offer, and that was just like the icing on the cake. And I'm just like, okay, she's a woman thinking it's going to be a down-to-earth experience. And she asked me, she was like, so what did you do for this time period when you weren't working? And I said, well, I was a stay-at-home mom. It was like, it was like everything just switched. She was like, you were a stay-at-home mom? Well, I don't know if this job would be good for you because it's very stressful and you are not going to be able to call out. And I was like, let me decide if that's going to happen. Like, I was like, I already talked to my husband. We know it's going to require more of me. Yeah, but coming from a stay-at-home mom, it's like she didn't value what I could offer because I stayed at home. And so I was just like, wow, like one, obviously I don't want to work at a company who's not going to appreciate me, or I have to put my job before my kids. So it was a no-brainer, but at the same time they were sending the offer, and that's what like really stung. And my friends were like, oh, you know, you can, that's discrimination and stuff like that. But of course they're gonna say, no, we found a better candidate. Of course. It's no way, you know, I could have proved that, but just to hear those words come out of a woman's mouth just made me be like, back to that mom shaming.
It's literally woman shaming, because she's probably, I'm gonna put, more than likely, she don't have no kids.
No, she do.
She does?
But they were like teenagers.
See, and that's not even fair. Like, why would you do that? Like, I feel like you're not giving the person the chance to put their best foot forward. And you're not giving them a chance to, like, excel in their career. Like, everybody just needs a chance. Everybody just needs a chance. And you doing that, like, just proved, it's horrible. That's horrible.
And even it has nothing to do with education level too.
Yeah.
As a stay-at-home mom, like I have an MBA and I was a business consultant. For 4 years, I stayed at home for 9 months. So how all of these accomplishments just get minimized just for a 9-month period? And so it's like, that's the tough thing I think that women don't really talk about, is that's another reason that probably pushes them back into staying at home, because they're like, well, I don't know what I'm good at this point. I just know how to be a mom.
You don't know where you fit in, and that goes from the business side to the social side, because then you end up with all these mom groups. And that's you now the president of a mom group. And they're fun. I love mom groups. They are fun, especially when your kids are around the same age. Yeah. And you like, I work, so then when I have free time and I'm like with my kids, well, what do I do with them? Come, let me join you. Let's do this together with the kids. So that's the benefit of having a mom group, and you feel supported. You have a community. You're all going through the same thing, but they're all calling mommy at the same time. They're all pooping on themselves and spilling milk all at the same time. All at the same time. But then you get tired of talking about your kids.
Yes. And that is like, I know a lot of stay-at-home moms, they do like a lot of mom groups just for that adult interaction and stuff like that. But like you said, everything kind of gets centered around the kids. Yeah. After a while. So it's just like, dang, like we're out to drinks, but we still talk about the kids.
Yeah. Like I can't deal. I like both times. I like times where I'm talking about the kids and having fun with the kids. But I like times where I just want to have adult conversation. I don't want to mention my kids.
I don't want to be a wife or a mom. I just want to be Chelsea.
Exactly. I just want to be Sam at that point. I just want to be sociable, which I do a good job at. I get to be my little social butterfly.
You're the reason that I even get out the house.
Yes. You have to, because you still got to realize you're still young. We literally just turned 30.
Yeah.
Shameless plug. We literally just turned 30. So we still have a long life to live, where we're eventually still going to be moms. We're going to be moms to like adult children. And we're still going to be working. We'll be working in a career force where we're like deep in there. So we need time to still talk about ourselves and have fun with ourselves. And still be fun. So,
and that's like for stay-at-home and working moms.
Yes,
it's just
for everybody.
Making time for balancing it all, because it doesn't matter which path you take. The balance of it all, you could get just as overwhelmed and staying at home as working.
Yes,
it's really no happy medium.
There isn't,
because you're always going to feel a lack. You're going to feel guilt if you're working too much and you don't get to see your kids, or if you feel like you're always there and you're not contributing to the household because you're not working. It's always going to be a guilt. So the balancing it all, having a supportive spouse is really good.
Very important.
A village is even better, because one thing I had to realize, when my husband would come home, I'd be like, here, take your child. But he's worked all day,
so he's tired too.
He's tired too. So it's like, you know, having that village and just being comfortable with asking the village to help.
Yes.
Because you'll feel like, oh, well, I work all day. I feel guilty to ask for help on the weekend because I haven't already seen my kid. Yeah, but if your child wants a good mommy, a healthy mommy. That's what a good mommy is.
Yes, a healthy one.
So whether or not they spend a few hours at grandma's house or here and there, I didn't look at my mom as a bad mom. I just was like, I wanted her to be there more. But now that I am a mom, I appreciated the sacrifices that she made, because I wouldn't have been able to ball out and all this stuff for grad night, and if she hadn't sacrificed and worked those additional jobs to give me that lifestyle.
Exactly.
So just balancing it all.
A huge one, creating a lifestyle for your kids, and then whether or not they're going to appreciate it. And that's what it all comes down to. Yeah. Because there's some people who will stay at home and say, well, we're just going to stay on a budget, or like sacrifice and live off of one income because I want to have that time for my kids. Or there's some people who say, well, I need this extra money and I want to create a lifestyle for my children. So 2 incomes is better than 1. So you have your pros and your cons to both. I mean, none of them are bad. None of them are bad. And as long as you're healthy and you feel good about your decision, that's all that matters at the end of the day.
And we support you. If I had a shot glass, I would shoot it up for you.
Right.
Because no matter what type of career path you are in, you're a mom at the end of the day. And that in itself is a journey, and it's a lot of growing and challenges that don't add additional stress to you. Sometimes the house just not going to be clean. Sometimes
it's okay.
You're just not going to meet that deadline. Like it sounds like, oh my God, you could get fired, but you're probably not going to.
You're probably not going to. It's okay.
It's always room for human error. Give yourself some credit, a pat on the back. Sometimes you might miss that soccer game that your kid has, but that's not the one pivotal thing that is going to say whether or not you're a good parent. Exactly. You know, whether you be at every game or at no games, there's so much more to being a parent, right? And having that relationship with your child. And as long as they understand what you're doing it for, they'll appreciate it, whether they appreciate it as a child or as an adult.
Either way, they're gonna get it. And you said relationship with your child. Whether I see my child for 4 hours a day or whether I see them 10 hours a day, I'm still going to have a relationship with my child. Right. We're still going to talk about their day. We're still going to know their favorite color, what you want to be when you grow up. I want to be just like mommy. Whatever it is, you just want to make sure that you still have a relationship with your children. So the time that you spent is not the determining factor on what makes you a good parent or not. So you just want to make sure that you spend that time, you get to know your children, you talk to them, you put that phone down, you put the tablet down, so that whatever time you spend together with them is like monumental.
Because you could be there, but not
be there and be absent. There is something called an absent parent. They live in the house, they wake up, they take you to school, but they're absent in your life. They're true and absent, and that's not fair to the child. And at the end of the day, that's not.
So from I don't even know what I'm doing right now. Stay at home. I'm working. You're
entrepreneur, stay at home mom boss.
Being an entrepreneur is whatever life throws at me this week. This week I actually did stay at home because it was spring break. So they were home with me. But next week I might be on some whole nother other stuff. So I just want to say from me to you, from Sam to you, we really appreciate you as a mom. And if you haven't heard that, at least you heard it from both of us today.
Yes. And then if you have any mom struggles, just DM. Send it in, because of course we'll help talk you off the ledge, because sometimes you need that. You need another perspective to say, am I doing this wrong? No, sis, you're not doing this wrong. You're doing it the right way. here is what you're doing. You are doing great. You're amazing. You're wonderful. Keep going.
And I will definitely add your Instagram name and Facebook name so you guys can DM Sam if you have any questions. If you want to work for her, because doesn't she sound like the best boss ever?
I'm not going to lie. I'm a really good boss. I'm a really good boss.
Put in an application and call.
I try to, because honestly, I have such a diverse workforce that works for me. So I want to make sure I'm supportive to everybody. You never know why somebody's coming to work for you, what their reason why is. So you want to make sure that experience is great when they're in your building and they're working under you, period. Whether the best worker or the worst worker, you'll never know based on how I treat you. You'll never know. You'll never know. So.
Mom bosses unite.
Yes, anytime.
Thank you guys for joining.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming. Now watch them. Everybody gonna be like, so when Sam coming back?
I'll come back anytime. As long as the kids are away.
Well, they're quiet for right now.
Yeah.
So we're gonna enjoy this time in silence for 5 minutes. But thank you guys for tuning in, and I look forward to talking with you guys next week. Talk to you later. Bye.